So we're going to be demonstrating a short leg posterior without a stirrup. What you're going to want to do is start with the foot in as much of a 90-degree angle as you can get. And that'll vary based on the doctor's orders. Some doctors want the short leg posterior splint to extend past the toes, but if they don't specifically request that, then it's okay if you go to the toe line and not extend past them. When you put your stockinette on, you want to leave some excess so that we have some room to fold over, and then pull this down nice and snug so that we don't have any major wrinkles on the calf or on the foot. If you need to, we've got this little wrinkle right here. You can always take your shears and just snip a little bit of this off, and then make sure to pad really well there, but that way we don't get a big wrinkle on our stockinette. But let's see if we can't just straighten that out. We're going to measure for our splint material next. I use web reel to measure, and like I said, we can start from the base of the toes. We're going to go all the way down to 2 to 3 fingers before the crease behind the knee. So we'll tear that, and then we'll go cut our material. Okay, so we've got our splinting material cut. We're just going to lay that there for a second. Now we're going to need to pad the leg. With all splints, you want the 3 layers of web reel, and you want it nice and snug so you're not creating any enormous wrinkles underneath, because wrinkles can cause pressure injuries on the tissue. And you're going to take your time to pad the site of the injury especially well. Okay, so you're going to want to maintain the flexion of the foot here so that you have as close to a 90-degree angle as possible. Some patients physically aren't going to be able to do it, so talk to the doctor about potentially splinting in place for the patients with the limited ranges of motion, either due to their injury or due to their body features. When you're padding the heel, you want to take time to fold and tear the web reel as needed so that it lays flat on the heel and that you're not getting big dog ears on either side. And we can just finish that padding off with another strip or two. Okay, once you're comfortable with your padding, we're going to fit our splinting material to the leg. We want to make sure that, as with all of our splints, we're finishing the edges before we're applying this to a patient's extremity, because we don't want our patients to end up with fiberglass splinters. So what I like to do is tuck this loose fiberglass end in toward itself, and then use these layers and crimp it back together. That way there's no extra fiberglass hanging out, and you're not gumming up your shears by trying to cut the material. nice folded ends. We can apply this to the leg. And with these loose ends that we left for ourselves, we're going to go ahead and fold this back so that we're leaving the toes exposed. That gives us the opportunity to recheck our CSM once the splint is in place. And then we'll use the same thing on the bottom here. We'll fold that stockinette back up, and it will help secure our splint, and it also gives it a really nice comfy border for that patient's skin to be protected. And then once you're ready to put on your bias, you're going to want to start distally and secure that toe first. And then just real fluid, we're going to shape this material to the bottom of the foot. It's important to not oversize your splinting material because then you're going to have a ton of excess hanging off. From here we can turn around and capture back behind the Achilles, and you're going to want to give the Achilles a little bit of a squeeze here so that it shapes closer to that tendon. In order to prevent big dog ears here, instead of cutting our corners, what I like to do is take my hand and cup it over both corners so that they actually lay down pretty flat. That gives us the appearance of a rounded heel once we put that bias on. So not only is it more aesthetically pleasing, but also the patient doesn't have big corners that are going to get hung up or collect dirt and dust as they move about. Make sure that all of that material is covered. We never want to wrap the bias too tightly because we don't want this step to impair the circulation. So just nice, even application is all it takes, and this is really just for a little bit of protection for the splint and to hold it in place. Once we've got that on, we can secure with that little piece of tape that came off of the bias roll. And from there, you'll do whatever taping you prefer.